Summer is just around the corner. I think here in Portland it has been raining so much this spring, and I am just kind of craving sun. I'm craving the beach. I'm craving hot weather. I'm craving front porch reading. We did have one almost 80-degree day last week, and it got me just so excited for summer. I don't know about you, but I am ready. So to get me in the mood, I thought that today I would share some brand new summer thrillers as well as some old favorites. I'm talking novels that give off killer summer vibes, books that are entertaining page turners, and books that just have like a very summer feel to them. These first 5 recommendations are books that I have not yet read. They are brand new releases. They are coming out this summer, the summer of 2022. They are just ones that caught my attention because of the cover or because of the description or because they just had very strong summer vibes. The first one is The Swell by Allie Reynolds. This one comes out July 19th and is being pitched as Point Break meets And Then There Were None. Apparently, it involves a group of elite surfers who will chase that perfect wave at any cost. The main character, Kenna, was passionate about surfing until her boyfriend died, and then she just kind of gave it all up. A few years later, her best friend says, "Hey, I found this perfect guy, I'm engaged," and Kenna decides to go down to this remote Australian beach. I'm not sure if she's going there for the wedding of her friend or just to meet her friend's new boyfriend and to kind of get to know them. The description wasn't very clear on exactly why Kenna ends up at this beach, but she does end up at this remote Australian beach with these elite surfers. But of course, this coastal paradise has a darker side, and when one of the members of the group goes missing, Kenna finds herself in a struggle, a fight for her life. The Other Guest by Helen Cooper comes out on July 26th. And if there is one thing that epitomizes summer for me, it is a lake house. And while I thought about adding the new Riley Sager to this list, The House Across the Lake, does that sound right? The House Across the Lake? I decided that if you are a regular thriller reader, if you read mysteries and suspense on a regular basis, you have already probably heard and or read Riley Sager, and you are aware that this book is coming out this summer. So I thought I'd talk about another book about The Other Guest instead, which also takes place on a lake, but a lake in northern Italy. So we're gonna throw in the European vacation on top of a trip to the lake. But of course, because it's a thriller, it's not just gonna be about wine and prosciutto and sun and olives. There's gotta be some kind of mystery, some kind of danger, something that is upsetting everyone's vacation, obviously. So we have a very luxurious lake resort in northern Italy. That's the setting, and then the story centers around 2 women who are at this resort. The description says that they are seemingly unconnected. So obviously we know that their paths have crossed at some point in the past. And the story is going to probably slowly unfold all their dark entanglements and what they actually mean to each other. And we as readers are probably going to have to wait until the very end before we fully understand all of these dark and twisted connections. I don't have any plans of going to Italy anytime soon, but this is a book that I could definitely see myself reading on my front porch with a glass of rosé and a margarita pizza. My Summer Darlings by May Cobb came out in May, so it is out, but it is still a new release. And this cover is all sorts of summer vibes, plus it has summer in the title. So this book centers around a group of suburban women who have been living in this kind of small East Texas town. They grew up together, they've been friends for a long time. They're just kind of bored with their lives at this point though. You know, they've been doing the same old thing, living the same old life, bored with their husbands, annoyed with their children, and then this very mysterious, very handsome stranger moves in, a mysterious, charming, rich man who disrupts their lives and wreaks havoc on their friendships. It sounds like a bunch of bored housewives who are up to no good and should probably spend more time reading summer-themed books and less time obsessing over the new hot guy who moved in next door. Murder on the Spanish Seas by Wendy Church came out at the end of May. I am obsessed with this cover. I love the colors. I love the huge cruise ship in the foreground. Very ominous. This description describes the main character, Jessie O'Hara, as profane, introverted, and not frequently sober. So clearly she's going to be an unlikable character, and I cannot wait to meet her. This is about a woman, Jessie O'Hara, who has a photographic memory but can't really seem to hold down a job. She gets roped into taking this job on a luxury cruise ship that is sailing around the Iberian Peninsula. That sounds fun, but from the get-go, she sees and hears things that just don't feel right to her. And she begins to suspect there may be something bad happening on this cruise ship, maybe a terrorist plot, or just something is not right on this ship, obviously. What would be the point of having a book about a lovely, boring vacation where no one is murdered? So this series of strange events occurs, and Jessie is kind of investigating and digging deeper, and of course getting herself into more and more danger. Finally, I want to tell you about The Pink Hotel by Liska Jacobs. This comes out on July 19th and is set in this luxury Beverly Hills hotel where our main character has been invited to come and talk to the manager. I think he's like applying for a job there or something. I'm not sure exactly what job, but he brings his wife. I think they're on their honeymoon. And of course, because it's California, the world is on fire. There is a forest fire, a wildfire surrounding the area, and the characters get trapped in this hotel, in this luxury Beverly Hills hotel. And then they kind of get a little bit of cabin fever. They start to feel a little claustrophobic. The description describes this as a dark social satire that kind of exposes the tenuous class system inside this hotel and the eccentricities of the guest, and how being in such closed, confined spaces can maybe be not so great for the people who are there. All these resentments are bubbling up and expectations aren't being met. I was really drawn to this cover, and I think this sounds like a really interesting book. I'm not sure if it is going to be like a very page-turnery thriller. It might be more of like a literary style, but I'm still interested in seeing where it goes and how this plot unfolds. So those were the 5 new releases, and again, those are either all coming out soon or already out for the summer. And again, I have not read these, so if they're terrible, my apologies. But maybe some of the ideas and the covers have sparked your interest as well. I know that sometimes getting new releases can be hard. There are a lot of holds on them at the library, or maybe you just can't afford a new release. You prefer paperbacks, or you just, don't want to read the latest, greatest, newest thing. So I want to give you 5 backlist options as well. These backlist books are books that I have read, so I can confirm that they are page-turnery thrillers. They weren't perfect, but they were fun. The Last Guest House by Megan Miranda is set in a quiet beach town. It's popular with rich summer tourists. They come and they stay in their very large rental houses on the beach. And then at the end of the season, they throw these lavish parties. And that's where the book starts, at one of these end of the season parties. And it's at one of these parties that the daughter of one of the richest real estate moguls who owns a lot of these rental properties dies under suspicious circumstances. The book is narrated by Avery Greer, who is a full-time resident in this beach town, and she's the property manager for the Lohman family, for the family of the daughter who dies. She grew close to Sadie Lohman, the daughter, the girl who dies the night of the party. Over the years, they grew close. They had this kind of uneven friendship. And so when Sadie dies, questions are raised about Avery's involvement. A year after the death, the Lohman family returns to this small summery town to set up a memorial for their daughter and just kind of grieve and try and move on. And Avery, too, is trying to grieve and move on. Mysterious things begin to happen in the town a year after the death. There are some break-ins and some mysterious things that are just happening at the rental houses, and Avery begins to suspect that there may be something else going on, that maybe Sadie's death is more complicated than the police or anyone else believes. She begins to look for clues, and as she does, of course, she gets herself deeper and deeper into danger. This one has a good claustrophobic feel of a small town at the end of summer. There were lots of twists and turns with interesting characters that will keep you on the edge of your beach chair. So we have another cruise ship thriller. This one is The Woman in Cabin 10 by Ruth Ware. This ship is traveling through the North Sea to see the Northern Lights. So it's actually kind of more wintry, but it's a vacation read. I don't know, let's roll with it. This isn't exactly a cruise ship. This is a luxury yacht. It is very exclusive. The passenger list is small, the crew list is small. This book is about the ship's maiden voyage, and the group of people who are traveling on this cruise ship are mostly press and some other rich people, friends of the man who owns the yacht. Our narrator is drunk and paranoid. Before she left on this trip, she had a very distressing event happen to her. There was a break-in at her apartment, and she's feeling just really fragile and really delicate and really just kind of on edge about everything. So the first night of the cruise ship, she swears that she hears somebody getting murdered. She swears she hears it, and she swears she sees the body go over into the ocean. But when she tries to get help, when she contacts the crew, the security team of the yacht, everybody tells her, no, that didn't happen. Nobody's staying in this cabin, so how could anyone have been murdered here? There's no evidence. And then the only evidence that she has disappears. And so it's clear that there's like something going on, but we're not sure if our narrator is just unreliable, maybe she's making it up, or if there's this big cover-up happening on the yacht. So her sanity is called into question, and she spends the entire trip trying to figure out what she actually saw. And of course, trying to stay alive. The next one I want to tell you about is Under a Dark Sky by Lori Rader Day. This one starts out with kind of a sad premise where a woman has just lost her husband and she's a grieving widow. As she's sorting through her husband's paperwork, she discovers he made a reservation at a dark sky park. She goes to this dark sky park only to discover that the reservation was actually made for her husband and his mistress. Ouch. Not a great way to start your vacation. The narrator is afraid of the dark. She's paranoid, but she goes to this place anyway, and she thinks she's gonna have this very cozy cabin, this reservation all to herself, this like Airbnb type house. It's like on a lake. She thinks it's just going to be her, and she thinks, yeah, this could be a good time to grieve and let go and finally say goodbye. But when she gets there, she discovers that she's going to be sharing the house with several 20-somethings who have dark and twisted secrets of their own, and they are all rather obnoxious. So it just like sets this very strange tone where you have this grieving widow and then just like a bunch of 20-somethings there to get drunk. There are definitely some issues in their friendship, things that are not working out great for them. One of those 20-somethings gets murdered. And that's when things get really interesting. Speaking of toxic friendships, let's talk about Girls' Night Out by Liz Fenton and Lisa Steinke. Girls' Night Out is about three best friends whose relationship is kind of on the rocks. They are a little bit estranged from each other, and they decide to try and heal their friendship. They take a vacation to a fancy Mexican resort, and the plan is just to relax on the beach, drink a bunch of margaritas, eat tacos, and just rekindle their friendship. You know that's not happening, right? What actually happens is that one of the women goes missing after a night out on the town. They're drinking, they're dancing, there's a strange man who won't leave them alone. This book is told in dual timelines with multiple narrators, and it is a very exciting unfolding of events as we go back in time and learn about their friendship, as well as the beginning of their trip, and then we also jump forward in time to where they're investigating and trying to find their friend. It's a gripping read, and you're not sure who you can trust and who's telling the truth. And yeah, this book was a little bit white rich ladies gone wild, but it was also a heck of a good time. Finally, I would recommend Hostage by Claire McIntosh, and I would recommend that you read this one on a plane. While you're on a long flight, you can't go anywhere, you're stuck in your seat with bad airplane food and not enough to drink. That's what I think you need to really get the full experience. This one starts out a bit of a slow burn, but then the tension really starts to ratchet up. It is set over a 20-hour-long flight, an inaugural non-stop flight from London to Sydney. Our main character is a flight attendant, and she has somehow talked herself onto this inaugural flight. She actually wasn't supposed to be working this flight. She switched shifts with one of her coworkers. Things with her marriage aren't going so great. She has a young daughter as well, and she really wants to take this flight and just escape her family for a while. And of course her husband's pissed off that she decided to do this without really telling him. So she gets on this flight. Within the first hour, she gets a very threatening, anonymous, strange note. And basically the note is implying that there is someone on the plane who doesn't want it to land, who doesn't want the plane to make it to their destination. Basically, there's someone on the plane who is taking it hostage, and he's using the main character, the flight attendant, to do that. He basically says, you can either save hundreds of people and do what I say, or I'm going to kill your daughter. For the rest of the book, we're following the flight attendant as she struggles to make a choice, as she battles for survival and trying to save the people on this plane. I mean, maybe don't read this one if you're already afraid of flying, but... So tell me, what are your summer reading plans? Will you be adding any of the books that I recommended to your beach bag? I'll be back soon with more book recommendations. Until then, don't forget to wear sunscreen and drink plenty of water. Thanks for watching. I'll see you next time.